Hi guys, Nick Watts here for We Love Betting. It's a hell of a good thing that Roman Abramovich doesn't run the show here at WLB because I would probably be out of the job, quite frankly. 1 out of 3 again last weekend. Thoroughly disappointed with that, I have to say. In many ways it was probably the biggest call in opposing Chelsea that came off for me. I was very happy with that. Things were looking rosy in the Liverpool-Wigan game until that late splurge of goals, Suarez getting a couple, and then Jose Enrique, of all people, denying me the payout. Monday night, should have gone for the full-time draw, shouldn't I? Instead, half-time draw let me down after Stoke took that first half lead. So, bit of a disappointing one. All you can do is get back on the horse. You guys feel free to jump on Twitter and tell me I'm dead wrong. These are just my best bets at the end of the day. So let's move on to this week, shall we? Onwards and upwards. So I'm going to bet that 1 out of 3 this week, despite the fact the coupon's a little tough, I will confess. I'm going to start right at the beginning and the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. Sunderland against West Brom. Not a game I'm expecting to inspire, to be honest, despite the fact I had faith in West Brom last weekend, despite the fact that they're flying high in the league. They haven't actually been as brilliant away from home when you look at it. They've won 1, drawn 2, lost 2, of course winning at Wigan in their last away game. They've actually got a really good record against Sunderland, drawn just 1 and won 4 of the last 5 against them, and maybe a tempting price at 21-10, but for the fact that away record isn't exactly blowing my socks off, it has to be said. You look at their scoring record as well, they're averaging a goal a game away from home compared to 2 a game at home, and you can see that it's at the Hawthorns that their strengths lie. Sunderland, finally scored some goals, albeit against a 10-man Fulham side last weekend. They'll have been chuffed to get the 3 points, but it's difficult to know how much you can actually take from that attacking display when they're up against the 10 men after that Breda Hangeland sending off. So I think more interesting is the fact that they've actually had the least shots on goal in all of Europe's top 5 leagues, which really says something about their attacking prowess. 100% of games at the Stadium of Light so far this season have been under 2.5 goals, and they're a lot to do with their defence, which we have to give them credit for. They've got one of the best defences around at the moment, and that's something that they've been able to build on and pick up a lot of points that maybe with a stuttering attack as it has been, they would have lost games in previous years. So I actually think under 2.5 goals is certainly a play here, despite the fact West Brom have been in decent form. It's 10-11 for the unders, and when you just consider how few goals have been in Sunderland games generally, I think that's a bit of a cracking price, really. So that's the way I'm going to go with that one. Moving on to game number 2, it's Wigan against Reading, another absolute stormer on paper, this one. And Wigan actually odds on as I speak on this Wednesday night, 10-11, the price that's kicking around at the moment. And for me, that's just too short. Wigan are a side that consistently don't really use home advantage in the way that you'd expect most sides to, or certainly some of the teams, the Stokes and co that you associate with being very strong at home, Fulham and whatnot, not so good away. But Wigan seem to have a pretty even record across the board, really, and that's why often I think they're good value away from home and terrible value at home when you consider they're 10-11 here against a Reading side who finally picked up a win last week. They beat Everton in a second half comeback, and tip of the cap to that one. What it does do is suddenly change how people perceive their form, because instead of it being winless Reading, they're now Reading only been beaten once in the last 7 matches. So, and I think even that was a 1-0 defeat to Liverpool. So very much a tight game. I think they can give Wigan a real match here, and 29-10 looks like a great price for the draw. I'm not entirely convinced about their ability to go and win this game, but for me, they've drawn 5 of their last 8 games. They've shown that actually that they are pretty tough to beat, despite the fact that they've actually conceded in every away game. Wigan have actually conceded in every home game as well, so you could be looking at a score draw here. Maybe it's a 1-1, 2-2 sort of job, but even a 3-3 when you think of some of the results Reading have had. But definitely that 29-10 appeals to me. I think it's the sort of game that smacks of a draw with recent records, and the fact that Wigan, as I say, won 5 home games last year, 5 home games the year before. I think it was 6 the year before that. So they're not a dominant home side at all. And for me, as a result, they're too short at 10-11 should be taken on. Third and final game, I'll hold my hands up and confess to the fact that I was struggling a little bit here. So I've gone for the old banker. It's Southampton against Newcastle, and I'm looking at over 2.5 goals. Despite the fact it's only 8-11, it's not a price that sticks out as being just plain wrong from the bookies or anything. Just feels like a banker and one to top up an accumulator, or in this case a treble, with really just because 75% of their games now have gone over 2.5 goals. Probably bar the West Brom game away, you felt like all of those games could have been overs. Certainly I remember the Wigan game I've mentioned more than once earlier on in the season, that home defeat could have gone over so easy. I think the woodwork was rattled on numerous occasions there. You look at Newcastle and really they've been underperforming on both attacking and defensively, but particularly their defence to me sticks out as much. That it's the 12th best defensive record they've got so far this season. They've conceded in 7 consecutive games, 100% of their away games. And when you think that they kept 15 clean sheets last year, and so far this season have only kept 1, I mean, for me, there's just something wrong with their defensive back line, and I think it's something that Southampton can exploit. I actually think the 6-4 Southampton is quite appealing when you think how out of sorts Newcastle look at the moment, having just lost 2 home games to sides that really they should have seen off. But I'm sticking with the goals just because I feel like it just feels like such a banker, as I say. Southampton went a couple of games in a row there with Swansea. I'm struggling to think who it was before that. Oh, of course, West Brom. But back in the goals, QPR against QPR look good going forward, as they always seem to really over the course of this season. They've been excellent as an attacking force, and at 8-11, it's probably a touch skinny, but it's actually probably just about the right price, and therefore I am going to back it. So just a quick recap then. I'm going under 2.5 goals in Saturday lunchtime kick-off between Sunderland and West Brom. That's 10-11. I'm going for the draw at 29-10 between Wigan and Reading, and I'm going over 2.5 goals for Southampton Newcastle. Good luck.